So let's dig in a little bit. Approximately what year, what point in time did you really begin working on Bitcoin?
I started on a failed, totally stupid concept back in the 90s.
Okay.
And I also had the concept of a paid sort of network. Mm-hmm. And all of it was a total screw up, fuck up, mm-hmm. and whatever else that wasted lots of money and got nowhere.
Okay. And then when did you get, I suppose, the idea that really led to what Bitcoin is?
That really came about after a bit of time with Newcastle and the other. So it was a combination of the guys at Newcastle. Mm-hmm. Also, at the same time, I shortly after that started a master's degree in law where I studied international banking, financial law, etc. over at Northumbria. And then I started really understanding the history of money. Between that and the other aspect that sort of changed everything was in 2005, when I'm doing this, I had to get a real job. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know if everyone remembers, but there was a big crackdown on gambling. And I had a lot of involvement and a lot of clients in like Lassiter's and Playboy and whatever else that all shrank because the Americans stopped allowing SWIFT to be used globally. And even
you're talking about the passage of the Ouija statute in the United States, right?
And that really made all those clients suddenly not able to spend money and not grow. And I was quite upset because these were licensed casinos. They were acting legally in the law, but they were still being squeezed out.
So you were working with them and then you had to get a real job. What real job did you get at this time?
I started with BDO. I became an auditor. So I developed CATS, which is computer-aided audit techniques. I wrote software as anti-fraud detection and software to basically complete audits faster.
And so you were working on Bitcoin, I assume, at night or on weekends, and this was a side project?
All of the above. I actually sort of tried to talk some of the people into some of my projects in BDO. I ended up having one of my partners, Alan Granger, was a director of some of my companies for a while. But I had approached the company and I wanted to bring this into BDO. I said it would be great for audit. And I tried to explain that we could, for a few servers, we could set this stuff up that I'd developed. And they said, what the fuck, where auditors go away.
So walk us through the process just generally that you went through. Like, did you start writing? Did you just start trying to figure out the components of a technical system? Did you code first? Just tell, how did you work through this?
It was a combination of things. So the first part was actually figuring out, well, it's a dynamic Stackelberg game. What you're going to start seeing as the fee now disappears, as the subsidy disappears, the reward will actually become variable in time. Basically, it's a linear sawtooth function that is Poisson distributed. Now, what people don't understand there is because you get a low fee at the beginning of block discovery, and as it goes on, you get a higher fee, that's actually going to create a scenario that settles the time closer and closer to 10 minutes. Because if you think about it, someone's just discovered a block. That means they're not going to get many fees in the next block. So they'll turn hashing down and save power. Then as fees grow, they'll start turning hashing up. If it goes past 10 minutes, suddenly it's a big payment. And everyone, even those who aren't economical when they're thinking about mining, will start chucking in. But this only happens as the subsidy disappears. And the subsidy was thought of like, because I did a bit of economics and whatever else, as similar to situations like South Korea. And you build nascent industries, but how do you get rid of the subsidy? So you just algorithmically get rid of the subsidy. You don't explain, hey, we're going to build you an ecosystem and then turn it away. We're just going to make the game set in the beginning.
What was the hardest thing or things for you to figure out?
Some of this actually changed right until October. So the fee reward and other aspects there were only finally decided in October 2008.
2008, right before the white paper was posted online?
Fairly much, yes.
Okay. So there have been other names associated with possible work on Bitcoin. Did you have help?
Everyone has help,
Okay.
but was someone else Satoshi? No. Dave, I wouldn't be sane and whatever else without him.
I'm talking about Dave Kleiman.
Yes. Hal Finney, the code wouldn't have kept going. It actually fell over in January 2009 several times before we found bugs. So if Hal hadn't jumped in, it would have never launched.
Okay. Anyone else?
Lots of other people gave me critique. Mike Hearn, Gavin, even Zuku, even people like Blue Matt. All these people, without their help, it just wouldn't have